Yeah, we back. We back. Now, Kanye West is back in the news. We got to talk about it because I think it's an interesting topic that we should discuss, right? As you can see by the headline, Jewish organizations slammed Kanye West over a lyric in a new song. I'm not going to say it. Listen, take a look up on the screen. Let's jump straight into the article because I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. Following a surprise performance of his new track Vultures featuring Ty Dolla $ign and Lil Durk at a Dubai nightclub over the weekend, Jewish advocacy groups are condemning Kanye West for an incendiary lyric that addresses his past anti-Semitic comments, which resulted in the termination of his contracts with Def Jam and Adidas, among others. Damn, he lost his record contract? I didn't even know that. In an Instagram story posted by the venue, Kanye West can be heard rapping the lyric, "How am I anti-Semitic?" I'm not going to say the lyric, you can read it for yourself. I'm just going to say, "How am I anti-Semitic? I just had a lovely dinner with a lady from the synagogue." Listen, man, I'm not about to get demonetized. Y'all not about to have my channel getting terminated like Cynthia G. But I do want to address the topic because I think it's something that should be discussed. Now, let's continue. In response, a spokesperson for the Anti-Defamation League told TMZ, at a time of rising anti-Semitism worldwide, it's disgusting to see Kanye West once again use his platform to spew Jewish hatred. The representative also called the rapper an unrepentant anti-Semite and clearly a misogynist. American Jewish Committee spokesperson similarly told the outlet that Kanye's latest remarks were sad and pathetic. Now, sometime last week, I had put out a video entitled, I forget what it was called, Candace Owens dropped by her sponsors for not being a good puppet. And in that video, I was talking about how Candace Owens, how she came up on YouTube, and then a man by the name of David Horowitz reached out to her. I believe David Horowitz is the chief executive officer of some type of conservative think tank or some type of a conservative advocacy group, and he had backed Candace Owens, and Candace Owens had said that he gave her start in the business. And within the past couple weeks, due to certain statements she made in regards to what's going on between Israel and Palestine, David Horowitz, who is a Jewish man, he decided to cut ties with Candace Owens. Now, Candace Owens has been on the airwaves for years saying whatever she wanted to say in regards to the black community, and David Horowitz had no issue with anything she said. But it was only when Candace Owens decided to say something that didn't really jive with his political beliefs, something that he felt was an attack against his people, that is when he decided to cut ties and go his separate ways. Now, going back to the topic at hand, Kanye West, I want to react to some of the reactions I've seen on social media, and I want to give my commentary on the subject because I think it's something that, like I said, we should talk about. Now, take a look up on the screen. This person said, Jewish executives made billions of dollars off rappers calling black women, etc., etc., but you cannot rap that about theirs. Now, that's kind of connected to what happened to Candace Owens. When Candace Owens hopped on her microphone, she could say whatever she wanted to say. But as soon as she opened her mouth to say anything in regards to what's happening in the geopolitical situation in Palestine, they told her, listen, stay in your lane. It's crazy how the energy changed. But this video is not going to be about any so-called double standards. This video is going to be about the way that we raise our children, the difference in how we raise our children, and the different results we get and how it manifests in what you see today. Now, going back to the tweet earlier when the brother was saying how Jewish executives allowed certain things to happen, but they don't allow other things to happen. For example, you cannot speak on their people, and they want to complain about the double standards. But I always say this, you could also enforce the same rule amongst your people. You could also say certain things are not allowed, certain things are not tolerated, certain things are not going to be accepted. You can also enforce these same standards when you operate with other groups of people. You can do the same exact thing everybody else is doing if you really want to. If you raise your children in that way and give them the same mindset, you can do the same exact thing other people are doing. But what I don't like is we don't enforce the same code of law amongst our people, but we want the same results. You're not going to get the same results if you're not doing the same thing. You're doing a completely different thing, but you want to complain about not getting the same results. And what do I mean by that? What is a black child being told when they are young in their early years? And then compare that to what a Jewish child is being told in their formative years, from when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. What is the Jewish child being taught? What is he being told? What is the black child being taught? What is he being told? What is she being told? And then you compare and contrast that and you see why one person has the mindset they have and the other person has the mindset they have. It's 1, 2, 3 ABCs. Now listen, when I discuss these topics, I'm not here to discuss anything about the origins of the Jewish people. I'm not here to talk about who is the real Jewish people, who's not the real Jewish people. Listen, I don't get involved in that. Neferkari Celine don't get involved in that. Don't derail the topic. Now, let's continue. What is the black child being taught and what is the Jewish child being taught? You have to go to the root of these things to understand what's going on in front of you. Now, first things first, I want to give a disclaimer. When I talk about this, I'm not generalizing the entire Jewish people across the world. I have a limited scope. I can only talk about the Jewish people that live, for example, in New York City, because that's the ones I be around. Now, I was watching a live stream from the good brother Brandon. It wasn't live, it was a replay, but he was talking about the Candace Owens situation and her getting dropped by her sponsors. And he was explaining why, in his opinion, why Jewish people react so passionately in defense of their people. To any type of slight, they react very passionately in defense of what they believe is disrespect against their culture, their heritage, their image, or whatever it may be. And he was talking about how from a very young age, they're taught about the atrocities and persecutions that the people have suffered throughout the centuries, right? From a very young age, you talk about, you learn about the Holocaust, and, you know, they ran you out of this country and they persecuted you in Europe, and they ran you out of Europe and they ran you out of Germany and the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler and things like that. So you're very sensitive to any type of negative statements, any type of negative propaganda against your people, because you feel like that is the prelude to the next atrocity. So from a very young age, the children are being taught about these things. They learn about what their ancestors went through. They use the memory of those past atrocities to serve as motivation, to network amongst themselves, to rally amongst themselves, to build for themselves, to insulate themselves, to protect themselves. They feel like this type of reaction is a necessary course of action because they feel like this is to protect their survival and their dignity, right? So, and going back to what the black child is being taught, because as black people, we can say we've also went through persecutions and centuries of humiliation, right? But what is the black child being taught? Is the black child being given the memory of his ancestors? Is he given the literature of his ancestors? Is he being taught what his ancestors went through from a very young age, to uphold that memory, to use that memory as motivation, to protect himself, to rally amongst himself, to network amongst himself, to build for himself, to defend himself? Is the black child being taught those same lessons in his household, in his community, in his... No, he's not. No, he's not. So you wonder why. Yeah, you wonder why you accept certain things and the other man don't. You wonder why you let certain things go down and the other man don't. You wonder why you see the things you see and you don't see it in other folks, not to the same degree. Because started from a young age, around the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, you're not being given those lessons. You're not being given those lessons. So if you're not being given those lessons, how do you expect when you're a grown man to actually uphold the dignity and sovereignty of your people? You're not, because you were never given the instruction manual from the beginning. And that's why when you look through my catalog of videos, a large chunk of my catalog is just straight up videos on black history. You know, legendary black figures that we haven't studied, that we didn't learn about in school, right? Even on my homepage, on my YouTube homepage, you see I have 2 playlists on my homepage. Take a look up on the screen. The Colonial System Unveiled, a book that was released in 1814 by a black man who was actually active during the Haitian Revolution. And the second playlist, the Memoirs of Jean-Jacques Dessalines' secretary. That book was written in 1804. I read those 2 books. We have to study the literature of our ancestors and listen to and read what they left behind. Because not only do Jewish children read about the literature of their ancestors, they make you read about the literature of their ancestors too. Yeah, I guarantee all of us had some required reading. You had to read some book, whoever it was, I forget the book. You had to read some type of book in regards to the persecutions of the Jewish people when you were coming up in school. Not only do they read their literature, they make you read the literature too. Yeah. So are we doing the same thing? No, we don't. Not only do we not teach our children about what their ancestors went through on a real level, uncensored, not that bullshit, oh, well, you know, Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and we was enslaved and then Abraham Lincoln set us free. No, I'm talking about the rated R version, what really went down, what really was going down. We don't teach our children that. They teach their children that. They make them watch the movies. They make them read the books. They make them look at those pictures from back in those days. And you know why? So it never happens again. Because in their mind, never will anybody disrespect them in that same way again. So do we raise our children in the same way? No, we don't. So don't complain about the double standards that you may be going through. Don't complain that we allow certain things and the other man don't. Because you don't raise your children in the same way the other man does. Because their mentality is never forget and never again. Our mentality is we forgive you. We don't care about race. We love white folks. We gonna marry white folks. We hold hands with everybody. Martin Luther King told us to hold hands with our white brothers. That's what you tell your children to do. You tell your children to go move to the white community, go to the white school, go work for the white company. That's what you tell your children to do. They don't tell them children to go embrace the world. They don't tell their children go hug the world. No, they tell your children defend yourself, ride for your people, ride for your ancestors, ride for your identity, ride for your culture, ride for your people. That's what they tell their children to do. So that's why when Kanye said what he said, they said, listen, we ain't having that. We ain't having that, bro. We ain't having that. When Candace Owens said what she said, David Harwood said, I ain't having that. and then you want to complain about the Jewish executives making all the money. You could also be a black executive making some goddamn money too. You could also be a black executive putting out the music you want to see, putting out the music you want to make, signing the artists you want to put out on the big screen. You could do the same fucking thing. You could also use your money to enforce your agenda. You could do the same exact thing that you talk about what they do. You could do the same exact thing. You talk about how they got businesses and industries and hospitals and all this ambulances and all this shit. You could do the same fucking thing if you had the same love for your people. The fact of the matter is, the Jewish man loves his people more than you do. He loves his people more than you do. So it's not about a double standard. He was raised from a young age to love his people more than you do. And that even goes back to the video that I dropped earlier when I talked about black men. It's very important when you are starting your family, the woman that you choose to be the mother of your children. Because like I told you, women are going to be the first teachers of the children, the first nurses, the first everything, right? So the first lessons you learn in life are going to come from your mother. So it's very important, the woman that you choose to be the mother of your children, she has to have the right mindset to raise those babies. You know, and that's a topic I've been touching a lot because I feel like black men, to be honest, you're really terrible at the type of woman you choose to start a family with, you know, because you wonder why, because where are the babies going to get the lessons if you can't even choose a decent enough woman to raise them goddamn babies, bro? Like, shit. You know what I mean? So listen, you got to have the right mindset to have the knowledge to pass down to the babies, and you got to choose a woman that also has the same knowledge and wisdom to pass down to the babies, because it starts with the babies, because the babies are going to be the men and women of tomorrow. So don't complain about the Jewish man riding for his people, riding for his women, because that's what he's supposed to do. And you're supposed to ride for your people, ride for your women and children too, because that's the game of life. That's what life is about. I'm not mad about David Horowitz telling Candace Owens sit the fuck down, because he's supposed to ride for his people. I'm not mad about Ben Shapiro telling Candace Owens shut the fuck up. He's supposed to ride for his people. I'm not mad about the Jewish community telling Kanye shut the fuck up. They supposed to do that. Just like when anyone disrespects us, we supposed to come against them 100 miles per hour in the same exact way, right? But you don't have the same mentality. You feel like, well, I'm holding hands with everybody. I love everybody. You know what I mean? I don't see race. I don't see color. I don't see nothing. Listen, everybody's my brother. Everybody my sister. You want to hold hands with the world, and you get upset when everybody wants to ride for their people. It is what it is, bro. Get with the program, motherfucker. Get with the program. You know? Anyways, going back to Kanye's song, you know, the song didn't really sound that fire. But I understand his overall point. I think that he's trying to give an example of how throughout the years he could say whatever he wanted to say all type of crazy shit. But as soon as he even said it in an interview a while back, he said, if I said anything about that community, watch how fast they come against me. Now, he actually went into the studio and made a song about that, and as you can see, look how fast they come against him. So he was right. But anyways, man, you know, listen, it starts with the babies, man. It starts with the children. It starts with the children, man. It starts with the babies, and you have to use the motivation of your ancestors to serve as fuel to the fire to build for yourself in the modern day, right? But if you don't know shit about your ancestors, you don't care about your ancestors, you don't care what you went through, well, tough luck, man. Tough luck. Anyway, it's your boy Evercard. That's Celine back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash App up on the screen, and I'm gone. Peace.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in the ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling attention. Enemy watching, he blocking my vision. Pay for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you in court. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so at least. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and you're smacking their faces.